You are listening to GMR Radio. And now, the Great Movie Radio Show.
All right, everyone, quiet on the set. Places. We've got a show to make here. Is Chris ready? Yes. Okay, everyone, in 3, 2, 1, and... Coming to you live from sunny Orlando, Florida, it's the Great Movie Radio Show, a movie talk podcast starring Chris Schneider.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Great Movie Radio Show. This is Chris Schneider here, coming to you from Orlando, Florida, and I have with me a wonderful friend whom I haven't seen in quite a long time. JuanCarlos Padilla is here with me.
Hello.
From good old Great Movie Ride. We're going to go around the track and just talk shop a little bit. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, it's good to be here.
Awesome. So, we were talking earlier. I haven't seen you in a couple years, and you worked closing day on the ride, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was like 14 hours, I think, that day.
Wow.
I coordinated the first half, and the last half I was one of the closing bandits with Sean Cumberland, Emily, and then Bryce was the other one. So the four of us closed out Bandit that night.
There you go.
Yeah.
You go. I rode 5 or 6 times that day, and I was just, every time I would ride it, my wife would be like, "Are you done?" And I was like, "I don't know, one more." And then she would oblige, or she would just be like, "I'll go do something else, ride again," because she knew we were taking. I remember we took photos at the front of the park that day. And it was a photo pass spot right near Main Street area, right down the main path. And they had like the clapboard and movie rides right behind you. Yeah. And they're like, "All right, smile." And I'm like, no. I just had this really like fake face going on because I was so upset. And so like it's inevitable what was happening behind me. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Try to be happy," and I'm like, "No."
You can see it in the eyes.
You could. It was. You really could. I would like zoom into my face, and you just saw disappointment. It was a day for sure.
Yeah, it was very much so.
Well, what's great about this is we get to keep it alive this way, which I feel is important. A lot of people still. I mean, we have a group of people who talk on Facebook. We have. Cast members we run into at the parks who are still there. I don't even work there anymore, and I still run into one of you here and there.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. So, keeping this thing going for us is, I feel like it's owed to the ride. I mean, the ride gave us each other.
Yeah.
We should give back to it in some way, keep it going.
100% agree.
And that's what's great about this show. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your top 5 favorite films.
All right, let's do it.
Which I've seen 3 of them. I haven't seen your first 2 yet. The number 2 is one I'm looking forward to watching, and number 1 I'm kind of holding off for. It's a family thing. But Godfather Part 2, There Will Be Blood, Alien, yes. Gettysburg, which I haven't seen in a long time, and Superman the movie, which, I also haven't seen in a long time, are your top 5. Yeah. And I remember sending you the script for the show, and I think you were the fastest one to get me the list back. You were like, I think I had it back in like 20 minutes.
Something like that,
And everyone else, and including myself, because I've done my own, and I'm still like working on it, because it's like, I have so many movies. You're like... This is it. You are like concrete. I know these are like they're plugged in. So Godfather Part 2. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. And I've always heard it's like the Empire Strikes Back of the Godfather movies, or you hear with the other way around with Star Wars. Empire's the Godfather 2 of the Star Wars movies. What made it your favorite? Like what did Coppola just bring home for you with that film?
It's the continuation of the story of the Corleones. The story doesn't end when that door shut on Diane Keaton at the end of the first one, and it just opens it up with telling the story of Vito, how he came to America, why he was in the life that he was in, and interweaving it with the story of his son. It was father-son storyline together. Like, Vito was still around, and his presence of the decisions that he made before Michael took over the family were still impacting the family when Michael is now at the point where he's at in the film. So it's just, it blows your mind when you see it for the first time. Some of the decisions that were made, the very dark decisions that are made, and you kind of went from, and you kind of go through that emotion watching the first Godfather film where you're cheering for Michael because Michael is clearly set up to be the person who's going to get out.
He's going to be the next one.
And at the end of the film, you're like, wow, he's going down some kind of path here. We don't know where it's going to end up. And then you see it in the second film where he ends up and you're like, wow.
The choices I was expecting him to make were not the ones he made.
Exactly. I think that's what made the both those films so different from everything
unpredictable
else. Yeah.
And especially for that time when
with
you're writing
genre.
Such a solid story.
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood is your number 2. I haven't seen that. Daniel Day-Lewis is a gem of an actor.
Yes.
And I don't know how I haven't seen this movie yet. It's been one of those movies I've scrolled through on lists multiple times, and for some reason something else has caught my eye, and I'm like, I'll get back to that one. And I still just need to pick it up and watch it. But what about that one?
Well, he's my favorite actor.
Oh, nice.
Hands down, 100% favorite actor. Anything that he's in, I'll watch it. Except I still haven't seen Phantom Thread. So
I need to see that too.
I need to see that as well.
I heard it was amazing.
But I saw the trailer for it, and my dad's a history teacher, which is a huge influence in my film tastes.
That makes sense.
And getting into movies. And I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, Dad, let's go watch this. And we went and saw it, and he was bored halfway through. My dad's he doesn't really like the period and like the prestige films, the Oscar films, really,
the art
stuff. But I was really into it. Like, as soon as he started talking, it just I was sucked in. And watching the arc of a character again, somebody who you think is one way and then completely descends into something else. My dad equated it to it was very much like Citizen Kane, where he starts off being this kind of like this good guy, and then he kind of descends into his own madness and himself, and he's so obsessed with himself that he can't do anything else but do things for him only.
It's always an interesting character study to watch. Multiple movies have done that. Even The Shining has to an extent. I mean, he wasn't a solid character to begin with. He was tampered and torn, but he was trying to build himself to be better.
Yeah.
And so he was going from low to high, and he was at a high point in his life, and it just went suddenly down.
Yes.
And to watch that character go through those situations is always. It's so unexpected.
I think one of the big things about that film is that you get a redeeming quality out of him, because you see some of the decisions that he makes aren't the best, but he's got this one redeeming quality, and then towards the end of the film where he completely dismisses it,
it's all over oil.
It's all just
right?
it's oil at the beginning. Yeah, he's trying to fight Rockefeller.
Yeah,
he's trying to get all this stuff before Rockefeller can get to what he's found. But he's got this redeeming quality to him. I don't want to spoil anything, but he's got a child, and at the end of it, he kind of just dismisses all this, and you realize, you weren't doing this for any other reason than this, for profit. So you look at it differently at that point.
And then, of course, on your list, Alien, Gettysburg, and Superman. I've seen all those. Alien I hold it as my top horror film of all time.
Okay.
Because I have so many science fiction loves that I like.
Yeah.
That I've kind of like, if I want to give Alien proper due, it's the number one horror film. I think it was one of the first horror genre films I watched in my cinematic involvement, I guess we'd say.
The Ride was the reason I watched Alien. I'd never seen it before.
You'd never seen it before The Ride?
Yeah, until I rode The Ride, and I was like, I'd heard of it, and I'm not a horror fan. I don't like scary movies that much. I've kind of gotten a little bit better as it's gone on.
I'm the same way,
But I rode The Ride for the first time in 2010 on my first college program, and I was like, all right, let's check this out. And it slowly has creeped its way up to my top 5 list every time I watch it. I can watch that movie over and over and over, and it doesn't get old for me.
It's such a classic.
Yes.
That I've really come to enjoy it. And Gettysburg, I haven't seen in so long. My dad was a Civil War reenactor growing up, and so I would watch all those war movies with the Civil War era. And I haven't seen that one in a long time. And Superman's been a long time as well. I need to go back and watch those. That's a pretty solid top 5 list, man. I gotta say, and the fact that you like I said, shelved it out to me in like 20 minutes, I was like, Jesus, I got the list back from him already. I don't even think I had mine done when I got yours back. So it was You know what you like, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, I looked forward to every year when my dad was teaching to get to the Civil War part because he would go out and rent Gettysburg to show his class, and he had it for a week because it's a 4.5-hour film. And I would watch it over and over again until he had to take it back to the video store.
Some of the movies I've held on to that you say that are movies I watched in school.
Yeah.
Gattaca, I watched in biology class for the first time. And when Dave Fesky and I met, who does our intro work, he and I talked about Gattaca quite a bit because him and his wife, actually, that was their first movie they watched together. So him and I would talk about Gattaca. But that movie really stuck with me because I saw it in school, and I don't know what about it. And I think I watched Princess Mononoke and I think it was Castle in the Sky, if I remember. The Ghibli movies in art class. We were doing Japanese art studies, and so our art teacher would show us foreign film in that anime style. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around the track, and we're going to take your favorites and recreate Movie Ride with your favorites. I'm sure you've heard some of our previous episodes.
Yes, I have.
And
I love it.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. I remember you reaching out to me recently and saying, I want to be on the show. And I was like, sure, man. And we actually added some questions. So I had to make sure we got you the new questionnaire. But Around the Track is sticking around. Apparently it's been a fan favorite. And we will be keeping this and continuing it every time. I've enjoyed it, too, because some of the movies on the lists of the genres I haven't seen. So getting to hear your perspective of them before I even see it kind of like piques my interest even more than just having it on your list. And then hearing the scenes you put on the ride. I love the imagination that's going behind it with everybody, and I'm just highly enjoying it. So we're going to go into musical now, and Fiddler on the Roof is your number one favorite musical.
Yes, it is.
So what about Fiddler on the Roof?
Again, dad influence, teaching world history and stuff.
I have a feeling that's going to be
it's a very big part of my movie loving history
reoccurring.
Is just being able to see these movies over and over. I saw a lot of movies that I probably shouldn't have seen when I was younger because my dad would watch them. Mm-hmm. But he was always very adamant about like, hey, he was putting everything in context. So I wasn't just watching for the sake of watching. I was learning at the same time.
Yeah.
With Fiddler is just the music's fantastic. I believe it's the first Academy Award that John Williams won because he did the adaptation music for Fiddler on the Roof. And
that came out in 1971, right?
Yes, and they had a category back then for like best arrangement or adaptation kind of for musical scores. Mm-hmm. And John Williams won his first Academy Award with that, I believe. But the story of Tevye and his daughters and the plight of the Jewish people with Russia leading into the 20th century with what you know is going to happen after this, the Soviet Revolution and World War II and everything. It's just the immigrant story is fantastic. The music is great. I think my first grade teacher told my parents once that she caught me. Was it?
Yeah, I guess it wasn't John Williams. I don't know. I was just looking.
Oh, interesting.
This is the 1971 Fiddler on the Roof, right?
Yes. Norman Jewison. Yeah. I know that, well, it's like I say, didn't do the original score because the original score was from the Broadway musical. It was an adaptation. And they had this weird category for that. And John Williams did that. I might have been wrong, but I thought that's what that was. So, but anyways, it's very, very good music. What was I saying? My first grade teacher told my parents that they overheard me in the restroom singing "If I Were a Rich Man" when I was in first grade because it's the influence that movie had on me. So, it's my favorite musical.
He did do the adaptation.
Yes.
They credited Jerry Bach for the original film, but Williams actually did the score. IMDb needs to update their stuff, man.
All right.
What scene from Fiddler on the Roof would you put on the ride?
I thought about it, and If I Were a Rich Man, where he's in the barn, just singing, shaking his arms and everything. I think that would be fun.
It's been so long since I've seen it, so I'm trying to. My grandmother did Fiddler on the Roof as part of. She was in drama in church growing up, and so she would do Fiddler on the Roof, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, stuff like that. So I haven't seen it in so long. I don't remember all the numbers. So that would be your first one you would put on. Of course, your second one being Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yes. James Cagney. We already have him in the ride, but...
We do. We're going to dress him up a little differently.
Yes. With this one, we have him in there. Yankee Doodle Dandy is one of those movies, again, that kind of grabs you by the emotions, and you just go through this roller coaster of this man's life. Mm-hmm. And watching other movies with Cagney as a kid, being the gangster, and then I didn't see Yankee Doodle Dandy until I was in college because my sister loved it.
I don't think I've seen it, honestly.
And my sister puts on the DVD, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, James Cagney, what's he doing, like, doing musicals? Because I'm like, he's the tough guy. And then I see it, and I was like, oh, wow. He's got a whole different level of talent. And that's when I started to really appreciate Cagney for what he was, not just the tough guy in the gangster movies, but he could do everything.
He was a solid performer because he could do so much.
Yeah.
I agree. Is there a scene from Yankee Doodle Dandy you would put on?
It would be the Grand Ole Flag sequence. There's a sequence in there where he's got all these dancers behind him, and they're all carrying the American flag because it's very, very pro-American. Mm-hmm. And they're walking on a treadmill, and they're just singing the song, and you just see the curtain go back, and there's just more and more flags behind him. Him and his family are just marching. Kind
of have the different flags coming out behind him on the other. That would be fun. That would be a fun movement to the ride. And of course, on your list you have Mary Poppins, which was already a part of the ride.
Yeah.
So we're I've been wanting to rewatch that movie for quite a while because the sequel they did finally came out, and I didn't get a chance to see it when it was in the theaters, and I've heard great things about it. I heard what's her name, Emily Blunt, really brought Julie Andrews' original character piece to the film. But I just haven't seen it yet.
She also made it her own, I felt like.
You did?
But I will say that I did stop watching it about halfway through because I was like, this is not a very good movie.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I felt like it was very thrown together. It was kind of a...
I've heard good things.
So my personal opinion was it was a very pleasure piece. It was trying to just get everybody to feel nostalgia. Like the kind of trend that we're in movies right now is nostalgia.
Well, that's all Disney's been doing lately. Even with Star Wars. I mean, the last one was good.
Yeah.
Ish. But... nostalgia was such a big factor, which I'm not going to complain about nostalgia. I love revisiting.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what they did there. But at the same time, if that's all you're doing and that's what's... There's nothing else.
It felt very pandering to me.
Yeah.
And, it was, I think, the sequence, if when you do get a chance, is when they enter the China Bowl. And it's the animated sequence.
Oh.
And me and my fiance were watching it, and we're like, nah. And we just put something else on. We just couldn't do it.
All right.
Sorry for all those people that like that movie. I couldn't do it myself.
Not everybody's gonna like everything. No, I get it. But no, I'd heard nothing. I've heard nothing but good things about that movie. So to hear that is, I'll still check it out just because I enjoyed the classic so much. But we are gonna go through the door now.
Yeah.
And this lingering darkness. That would normally be there is, it could still be there, but The Godfather Part 1, and you added Part 2 into this. You feel that they go together and not separated with your mob crime interests. So, Godfather Part 1, I have seen. What about, because we touched Part 2 already with your favorites. What about Part 1 that you liked the connections? Well, actually, we did talk about that. I'm sorry.
A little bit.
Was there anything you wanted to add to?
Not particularly. I think I said what I pretty much what those movies and what that movie meant to me as well. So.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, Francis Ford Coppola really
he nailed it.
He did. And I loved Pacino's performance. He had
a fight for Pacino to be in that movie. They did not want him at all.
They didn't.
No. Because the studio didn't want Pacino. He had a fight for Brando too because Brando was a liability, and they didn't want to pay the insurance for him because of how he is, and he had a fight for Pacino.
How he is,
he had a fight for Brando. But if you read the book, because it's based on a book, Michael's description is nothing what Pacino is whatsoever. It's not the black-haired Italian.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like he's got hair similar to Sonny, but it's not as curly. So that was one of the big things that they fought him on. But when they read the script, of the sequence of him walking through Sicily when he already did what he did with the police officer when he escaped.
Yeah.
That's when they were like, okay, you can have Pacino.
You can have Pacino. No, that scene really stuck out to me too when he was hiding, and I really loved it. I can't wait to sit down and watch Godfather Part 2. But again, I'm holding it off for reasons, so I'm sure it's going to be on future guest lists, and finally the day will come where I've watched it. Let's talk about it, right? So I'll have to call you and be like, I finally saw it, dude. Man, it was so good. What scene from, I guess we could say from either. I mean, you could even kind of like how Gangster Alley didn't have just one thing. It had multiple things going on.
Yeah.
You could kind of correlate a couple of things, or maybe the timeline of The Godfather 1 part and 2 into that curvature that would occur. But I'm sure we're going to have some live action fun too.
Oh, yeah,
do you have anything in mind?
Well, like the first thing I thought about when those doors open, going into Gangster Alley, would be Marlon Brando sitting at the desk with the cat, and Bonacera is telling him, the first thing you hear is, "I believe in America," and it's a whole opening sequence where he's just standing there talking to him and asking him for help.
Yeah.
That's where you would just kind of go off. Now you're going in a little bit further down. And probably, I would say...
Would it be like right in your eyesight? Like it's right in front of you when the door is open?
Yeah. I'd say so.
It's like you're walking into his office.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. And then you'd go out to the side, and it would be probably, I would say, some resemblance of Sonny or Luca Brasi taking over the tram.
Yeah.
Now you're going forward.
So we're gonna do a gangster show.
Yeah,
here.
I think so.
All right, Fesky, take it away.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, listening to the great movie radio show starring Chris Schneider. I don't want anybody to get hurt, so don't go moving around until this Movie Talk podcast comes back. Capiche?
Warning. Remain on this podcast. The advertisement you are experiencing is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution.
The heat's on, see? Which means it's time for Chris Schneider, host of the Great Movie Radio Show, to get back to work. I gotta lay low myself. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of this Movie Talk podcast. Do it, or else, if you know what I mean.
We're back, and we've gone through The Godfather Part 1 and Part 2, and we've been taken, and we're going into the Western area now, and the Magnificent Seven. And this isn't the new one, of course. There have been quite a few versions of this film. Of course, it was originally a samurai film.
Correct.
And they took the samurai film and made it... They took the idea and the concept and made it a Western. Yeah. Because, of course, in our side of the world, they wanted to make it something we could correlate with versus, watching a Japanese samurai movie, which, I mean, I love them. But at the time, it wasn't a popular film, I want to say. So they were trying to find a way to take that idea. Americans always got a reason to just steal from other
Change
people.
The other story, right? Yeah.
But this one, they nailed it.
Oh, they nailed it. I believe... One of the little tidbits I watched, because I have this on DVD, and it's like one of the behind-the-scenes thing is, I think at one point it was the most played Western on TV when they got the TV rights. Like, it was always on. The Magnificent Seven was always on TV. But that started off with Akira Kurosawa, which is one of my favorite directors. He was heavily influenced by John Ford and his Westerns. Yeah. And he wanted to make a Western, but with his culture. Yeah. So he created the story called The Seven Samurai. Yeah. Which is the exact same story.
Which I guess means we didn't steal it from them. I mean, he was inspired by us and made his version, and then we took his and it inspired us and made ours.
It was a very much full circle kind of story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's got it boasts one of the best ensemble casts that you could ever think of. It's got Yul Brynner,
McQueen,
Steve McQueen, the King of Cool.
Oh man,
Charles Bronson, James Corbin, right?
There's quite a few people. Yeah, Corbin's in it.
Yeah,
Coburn,
sorry. James Coburn. Eli Wallach from the spaghetti western fame. He was the bad
Good,
guy.
Bad, and the Ugly.
Yep. all those good ones. So it boasts one of the best cast. It's got one of the most memorable scores by Elmer Bernstein.
Oh yeah,
the main title for the Magnificent Seven.
And we can't forget Robert Vaughn too.
No, Robert
Bullitt.
Vaughn, yeah. So it was a lot. There's a lot of people in that film.
Great. And what's wonderful too, if you actually look at the writing credits, Kurosawa is actually credited.
Yeah,
because he wrote The Seven Samurai, and it was based on that film. So that's really great that they they worked together, I guess you could say, on this film. Nowadays, it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna take your foreign film and just remake it here in the States, and or like what's that show that's on, The Masked Singer? Have you seen that? It was a thing that was like on Japanese or Korean television that was a hit.
Yeah.
And of course, our side of the world's like, oh, we can take that and make it great.
You look at The Departed, and it was from Hong Kong originally. The Internal Affairs. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And I think Martin Scorsese referenced that in his Oscar speech. The Asian cinema influenced that story, so that's what they kind of brought that from there.
Yeah,
so.
and as much as I love The Departed, I haven't seen it in a long time. I need to go back and watch it just so I can remember and keep in mind things, because I watch so many movies. It's hard for me to remember everything.
I agree.
Hard for me to remember everything. But I didn't know that about Scorsese taking that from Hong Kong. That's a new one for me. Is there? So we're going through, and we've been taken by a bandit. Is there any interaction with the Magnificent Seven that you would like to include?
Well, I would think it was
in this section.
Would be from when the bandits arrive back to the village, and they're confronted by Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen, and it's 40 bandits, and they only see 2 people.
The 2 of them.
And as he's trying to say, there's nothing you can do against us, all of a sudden they all start popping up out everywhere. And
what if we're the bandits?
Cheaper by the bunch?
What if us being in the car of multiple people, we're the bandits?
Yeah.
And so you come in, and it's kind of like they're just sitting there, almost near to the track, but enough to where we can still squeeze through. And like you said, they're like, so many of you versus us, and then they all start popping. That would be fun. It's like, oh, shootout's about to happen, and then we just kind of, we made it.
Yeah, there's one line in there that I want the McQueen mechanic or animatronic to say. There are so many of us. Like, what's your business here? And McQueen tells him, he's like, we deal in lead, friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we could have the gangster that took the ride,
Yeah.
Read the which I haven't seen. I haven't seen the original. I saw the newer one.
It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't bad.
It was actually not bad.
I haven't found it on any devices that I don't own the DVD or anything. So usually go straight to streaming if you can't find something. And
correct.
I haven't seen it on there recently. I might need to recheck and see if I can watch that one, because it's been one I've wanted to see. And of course, Seven Samurai too. Cause
Seven Samurai is fantastic.
I need to watch that one first.
Yes, I would say so very much.
We've got a great list here too. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Rio Bravo, Silverado, Tombstone. That one is like one of the best westerns of all time. Yes. So it's a great list.
That's a big one back home, because I'm from Arizona. So Tombstone's right about 3.5 hour drive from where I live. So
there you go.
I've been there. I've walked those streets.
You have?
Yes.
Have you grown the mustache out and walked the streets?
I can't grow facial hair.
Get a fake mustache and just walk
around Tombstone. Yeah. I did walk around in my cowboy boots when I was there. I was walking on the pallet, wood pallet floors.
I would have been in heaven.
Just hearing that sound, it just brings something.
Anytime that you visit a location that has some kind of significant value to you from film, I lose it. I'm just geek out. It's funny too, because I'm from Atlanta, and the one of the hotels downtown Atlanta has been used for a lot of interior work, like the Hunger Games. Yes. And I think there was a shot, and at least the Spider-Man trailer. I don't remember if it was used from the Homecoming film in the film. But one of I think the Hilton downtown Atlanta, where this big convention where a bunch of friends and I would go to, was used. It's been used since George has been up and coming in the film industry lately, and I haven't been back since they started using that in film, and so I'm kind of eager to go back and be like, oh yeah, that's what they did this. And my wife and I are going there this fall, and so I'm gonna go to the film location. Oh yeah, this is where they filmed that.
Right?
And,
it's always fun to do that.
It really is. Actually, while we're on the subject, in college, I went to college 2 blocks away from where the opening scene of Zombieland was filmed. The gas station where he's running around, the two zombies are chasing him, and the double tap rule comes into play.
Yeah.
That was a BP station 2 blocks from my college, and right behind it was a pool hall I would go to on Thursdays and play pool. And my parents had this restaurant they really liked right behind it, Pilgrims or something like that. It's like a steakhouse. Uh-huh. It was shadowed out. The way it was dark and only like the light at the gas station was on and nothing else was. You couldn't see those properties behind it, but it was just lore around us that they filmed that scene from Zombieland right there, and I was, we know not to use that bathroom at that gas station too, or zombies are going to come get you.
Back where I was born in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah,
and Flagstaff was big in the 1920s as people were making movies there. There's always a story, I don't know if it's urban legend or what with Flagstaff, but if Flagstaff would have become Hollywood if it wasn't for monsoon season in Arizona, because they showed up in Flagstaff and they were going to film this movie, and then monsoon season comes. And it's just raining for days and for days and for days. So they decide to get on the train and they go further west. Yeah. And they find Los Angeles. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that's real or if it's just an urban legend or just sour grapes by Flagstaff. I'm not sure.
I know, right?
But they filmed a lot of movies in Flagstaff. Midnight Run, the scene. Have you seen Midnight Run with Robert De Niro?
No.
There's a scene in there where he's trying to get away. He's a bounty hunter and he's trying to bring someone on a bounty. And the train that they're supposed to be on, all the cops are there, and it's the train station in Flagstaff.
Oh, okay.
In Vacation. Family Vacation,
the first one. Yeah.
When he goes into that bar, the cowboy bar.
Yes.
It's a restaurant that
really?
my parents used to go to all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. And then the last one is Forrest Gump. When he's doing his little marathon across the country. The whole It Happens scene is right down the middle of the main street.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long shot there, too.
Downtown Flagstaff.
Oh, that's great. That's another one I haven't watched in a while is Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So I need to... so many movies, so little time.
Right.
So we're escaping the Magnificent Seven with our bandits and going into sci-fi, where very similar but possibly different characters along the way, and maybe a little bit of a different. I would say a lot different actually, because we're on a planet instead of just on a ship. But we're visiting a familiar character with the Xenomorph, but we're taking you to the second film. Where aliens occurs, and I have a feeling the Queen needs to show up on this because
the whole thought I was thinking of was you'd open those doors in Ripley's right here, and she's got the machine gun and the flamethrower. She's dropping the little flares to light her way back, and we encounter the Queen, and then right before we go into where Raiders is now at the moment is where now they're up in that ship at the top, and they're facing off. She's in the mech suit. And the Queen's there. And you got to get the line in, get away from her.
Get away from her.
It's I feel like that part of the ride is so slow, but it's methodical for a reason because Alien is slow and methodical. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to put aliens in, even though we can't go fast, you need to rev up the adrenaline. We need to start moving because that movie does not stop. As soon as the pedal hits the metal.
Cameron really... See, Ridley Scott did this really slow-paced...
which is why it's a horror film.
Exactly, because you're on the edge of your seat. And Aliens was more action.
Yeah.
It had the horror element, kind of like Terminator.
Yeah.
Terminator had a smidge of a horror element to it, but not much. It was more of the action based. And I think James Cameron's direction, taking it more into the action adventure area, was a wonderful concept because we'd been scared. Now let's kick some ass.
Yeah, I think that was the only logical place you could go with that next.
And then it kind of just derailed a little bit.
So they're just
no offense to David Fincher because Alien 3 was...
He's a great director, but I think they just had too much control on that.
That was his first one, It was more the studio pool, and that was his first film. I love Fincher so much. He's one of my favorites.
I remember watching Aliens with my fiance for the first time, and we got to... Right before Ripley goes into the nest, and my fiance sitting on the couch, and she's got her hand on her chest. I'm like, are you okay? She's like... This movie doesn't stop. And I'm like, I know. That's like the best part of it. It just keeps going.
Go.
I can't breathe.
Oh, man. I remember when they're going to the hive and all the eggs are everywhere. And you're like, something's just going to pop out. And it's just going to be like, ooh. That would almost be a nice moment, too, where you're going through like a little section of the hive. And you're like, something's going to pop out at me.
Some facehuggers
on my, exactly, right? Oh, man. Oh, it's such a good film.
It is.
And, of course, you have Alien on your list as well. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites, Blade Runner. Oh, I love that movie so much. Gravity is a wonderful space film.
I loved it.
That anytime I want to sit down and watch space movies, it tends to be on my list. But there's such a good variety of classic space movies to watch. I still haven't even seen The Right Stuff, which
that's a fantastic film.
That's one that's been on my list, and on my we're gonna touch this the next episode on my top 5 that I haven't seen. Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I know I need to. Everyone,
it's good. I fall asleep every time though.
Really? Well,
there's certain points I fall asleep. I'll wake up. I'll fall asleep.
Kubrick is really big on just that slow burn, which I just watched recently. I've seen it many times, and I feel bad because I've given Ad Astra so much attention and never seen Space Odyssey, just because of how much I know that they went Kubrickian with the way they filmed Ad Astra, the slow burn space movie, and I'm like, I feel guilty that Brad Pitt is getting all my my eyes. He's my favorite actor. That's probably why I love it so much. A lot of people panned it because it was boring, but I believe when Space Odyssey came out, it was the same way.
Yeah,
it was
very much. So.
It was slow burn, and everyone was like boring, but then people picked up on the cinematography and just the visuals and the
realistic of space.
Exactly, space is a slow burn.
Yeah, it is.
For astronauts, that's how it feels. So yeah, it's boring, but or it feels boring if you're so used to being on your phone and fast food nation and all that stuff. So going into this and just there's nothing but you and a shell keeping you alive.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. And that's what I appreciate about movies like that is they provide the separation from real and what your thinking is in space. And I love those, and that's why I really want to sit down and watch Space Odyssey. But every time I'm watching on my own, my wife's like, "No, wait for me," and then it never happens. I feel like half the movies I want to watch are ones she wants to also, and I just need to make a better list of all right, we're gonna sit down and watch this.
We're gonna do this, yeah.
Everyone has this meal this day. No, it's this movie this day.
Yes.
And, forget food. We're gonna watch movies. Yeah. And of course, I want to touch Wrath of Khan's on your list too.
Yes.
I still. I like what they did, but I kind of hate the fact that they recreated Wrath of Khan for the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah,
I guess they call it.
Darkness.
I do like the fact that they did opposites with the Kirk and Spock.
Yes,
that's what I appreciated. But JJ, I like him as a director because he's very Spielbergian, but when he tells you this isn't happening, and it does because he thinks you're dumb. And I can throw you off the scent by telling you it's not.
He's very Spielberg when he makes movies.
Yeah.
When he makes statements, he's very Lucas.
Maybe that's why they gave him Star Wars. But that pissed me off so much. He's not Khan, and then you find out Cumberbun.
Yeah.
Bimberbun. Yeah. Dumberdick. Everyone has really stupid names for him.
I'm a big Trekker is what I believe the preferred term is. And watching Into Darkness, there were just these little subtle hints to the series itself, the franchise.
There was.
When he mentioned Section 31, I'm a huge Deep Space Nine fan, and that's like the ultra secret Black Ops intelligence bureau of Federation that nobody knows about, but it's in the charter, and it's Section 31 in the Federation charter, and they do all this clandestine stuff. Mm-hmm. When he mentioned that in the movie, I was like, oh, it's gonna get real. And my sister hadn't seen Deep Space Nine yet, and she's like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, you don't know. When you start watching the series, you're gonna figure out why I was like, it's gonna get real.
I haven't watched enough. I mean, I saw a lot of Next Generation growing up. I don't remember all of it, but that was probably my main squeeze. Of course, the original series and the movies.
Yeah.
Next Generation. I saw a bit of Deep Space Nine and a little bit of Voyager, but I think as I grew up, I watched less Trek. Not that I didn't want to watch it.
I was the opposite.
Really?
I was more Star Wars, and then as I got older, I watched more Trek.
Nice.
Yeah. So
my dad was really balanced.
My grandfather was really into Trek.
Yeah.
Very big into Star Trek. I was watching Next Gen all the time when I was a kid.
Nice.
Because it was always on TV. With Khan, though, it's just the first movie is so boring. I don't know if you've ever seen the motion picture.
Yeah, it is.
It looks great.
Oh yeah,
it's like the soundtrack's fantastic. Jerry Goldsmith did a great job. Mm-hmm. They repurposed the main theme for the Next Generation.
Oh, it's so great.
But
and when the ship, how long did it take the ship to take off? Like 20 minutes?
Yes, it was just like.
I mean, I guess if you're thinking of how this is really going to go, The writing team for this movie. Well, the ship would probably take 20 minutes in real life to actually take off. Let's put them in the seat of that. Yeah. Well, that sucked.
Yep. And it's just like, what was it? I think Kevin Smith said it once at one of his stand-ups was, it's like that movie is nothing but like 45 minutes of glory shots of the Enterprise.
Which there's nothing wrong with, but put that. I mean, YouTube wasn't around back then, but put that.
Yeah, you could
put that on YouTube, man.
But then Wrath of Khan comes out, and everybody's like, "Well, we'll give it a chance." But the first one was terrible. Yeah. And again, that's the same thing with Nicholas Meyer. He actually did the two most famous ones of the series, 4 and 6. So he did the evens, 2, 4, and 6, which are the more high-grossing ones than the other ones. But he came in, and it was the same kind of Cameron thing. As soon as they meet Khan, it's pedal to the metal, and we're going.
Yep.
And he brought back a villain that you never thought they were going to bring back from the original series. But even if you didn't see the episode where Khan is introduced, you don't need it to watch this movie because it's just...
And I can't remember, did Ricardo Montalban play him in the series?
Original series?
I want to say he was, yeah. It's been a while since I've touched tracks.
Yeah.
Trek
he was
stuff,
in the middle of his Paradise Island fame when Khan came out. So everybody was like, Ricardo Montalban playing a bad guy, that can't be good. And then they watched the movie and they were like, holy crap.
Right.
That was his real chest, by the way, too. Everybody thought it was a prosthetic that he was wearing in the film, and he was like, no, that's all me.
Look at me in my sweat. I'm Khan. I'm going to put worms in your ear. I'm sweaty. Right. No, he was phenomenal. That's another one I haven't seen in a while, but I remember the intensity of that film, and
Shatner's never been better.
Oh, that was gone.
Yeah.
No, he's been better. Have you seen the I mean, it's clips of a bad interview with him, but Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain.
No,
have you seen the video of that?
See that?
If our listeners haven't seen, so the convention I was talking about earlier in Atlanta with the hotels that Hunger Games was filmed at is Dragon Con, and it's this large convention that's almost rivals San Diego Comic Con. That growing up in Atlanta, it's culture.
Okay.
In the pop culture convention, fantasy, sci-fi, everything. And I used to work at the convention, and I went to it as a kid. But there was this really bad video that was put together during the con that grew, and so every year I would go, I would bring up the video, and it's this interview, and it takes Shatner doing this explanation of Kirk and his travels, and puts it into a song, and it's Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? Because he's in love with the mountain, and there's just so much to it. It's really bad, but really great.
But it's also very Kirk at the same time.
It is, and he's got that. But the we've never gone this far, and it's in there. It's so great. So I agree with you that as a character of Kirk, Khan is his best performance. Yeah. But if you want pure Shatner Kirk, you need to watch this video, man. We might have to take a break here and watch it. Oh man, I could go on about sci-fi forever, but we're actually going to go under the ocean.
Yes.
With Sean Connery and The Hunt for Red October. This is your pick for action adventure.
Yeah.
I feel like I say this a lot. I haven't seen this in a long time. I haven't. It's been probably 2 decades since I've watched this film. And I remember seeing it when I was a kid. And... Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No, you're good.
1990 when it came out. Yeah, that's what I was looking it up real quick. Alec Baldwin, Sean Connery. I forgot Scott Glenn was in it, and Sam Neill.
Richard Jordan's last film.
And James Earl Jones. Jesus Christ, yeah, there's a lot of people in this film.
Yeah. One of his last films. Sorry, Richard Jordan. One of his last films.
But of course, it's based on the Tom Clancy novels,
which is a fantastic book, by the way. It's.
Yeah, I wish I had the attention span to read the books, because every time a movie is based on a novel, I'm like, well, the book must be good. They're making a movie. And then, like, maybe 1% of the time you hear the movie's better than the book. And I'm like, well, and I just...
Clancy just gets a little, too little military jargonish. Yeah. Just because he had a close connection with that. So it can be a little rough to get through, but the book is fantastic, and so is the movie.
I'm a huge fan of the submarine movies, and there's not very many. I mean, U-571 was World War II era, but
Crimson
Tide. There's not a lot of them. I mean, you'll see involvement of submarines in film, but you don't have a lot. Where it's
nothing to the effect of what Hunt for Red October was.
Yeah, that was like the submarine film. when it came out in '90. Is there what part on that? Because like I said, I haven't seen it in so long. I don't remember really anything other than Sean Connery just being Sean Connery.
It's the scene where they're Alec Baldwin's on the submarine now with him, and then they realize there's a saboteur on board, the KGB agent that stayed behind, and so him and Sean Connery are going to confront this man, and he's standing up where like there's rows and rows of ballistic missiles, and he takes shots at Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery, hits Sean Connery in the shoulder, so he can't continue, and now it's up to Ryan to go get this guy and stop him. Because if he sets off if he blows up one of the bombs in the ship, it's all over for them. And
oh yeah, that's right. Baldwin played Jack Ryan. I forgot about that.
And Sean Connery goes over to him, and he says, "Ryan, most things in here don't react too well to bullets." And you just get this close up of Alec Baldwin's face, and he's like, "Right." And and the shot what I would get was as we come in from the alien sequences. He's sitting at the corner of this huge giant red tube, and there's just a row of tubes that are all the ballistic missiles, and it's just this shot where it curves up, and you look up and you see how huge this silo is that he's in, and it's just him standing in that corner. And then the guy takes a shot at him, and then Ryan says, "I have to be careful at what I shoot at."
No, I think I watched this with my dad on TV when I was a kid. I think that was I think I've seen it once, and that was the one and only time I'd seen it. And I forgot most of it. From what I remember, it was a phenomenal film. And of course, anytime you talk Sean Connery, other than James Bond, you talk Hunt for Red October. You don't talk League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You talk
Sam Neill's also in that movie as well.
Yeah. I was looking through the cast because it's been so long since I had James Earl Jones, and I need to rewatch that one. That's you brought my interest back. I have this stabbing sensation to watch it, just like we're about to go into horror.
Right.
This guy in a mask is going to be peering out
from
the trees and stalking us. Halloween is your favorite horror.
Yes.
Would this be the point where the gangster?
Yes, I would think so. Gets off. Yeah.
Okay.
The scene that I have envisioned for that is where Laurie Strode finds her friend's dead, and she's leaning up against the banister, and there's the empty closet behind her, and then that mask just comes out, and the light just comes out there.
That is my favorite. Anytime there's like this ominous just appearance,
the reveal
is just it's so like whoa.
Yes, and it's like no words, nothing, but that right there scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, because it's just like he's there. And
then you know he is.
Yeah.
But there's no and then he just shows.
It's the music.
Yep.
It's that as soon as his face starts to come in.
Carpenter is so great at not only being behind the camera, but he understands what he wants his movies to sound like.
Yeah,
and the fact that he composes for his movies as well. What a multi-talented guy.
Yeah, very much.
I love John Carpenter. I actually host a film club monthly at my place. This year we're going to do a director showcase, and in October I was like, who could we do? And I chose John Carpenter because there's quite a few movies of his I haven't seen, like In the Mouth of Madness. They Live I haven't seen in so long, so I would love to revisit that. Halloween. You've got Escape from New York. There's so many great movies that he's done, and he is a master of storytelling, and he's of course very cheesy while he's telling these stories. Yes. But that is what's great about it is that they're so real, yet there's that like a faint smell of cheese.
Yeah,
I guess you could
there
say
a little bit, yeah.
It's there just enough.
And I like how Halloween was filmed on such a tight budget and on such a tight schedule.
And he's very practical with his films. Yeah,
I think there's a thing now on the internet where before you didn't think you could find anything wrong with Halloween, but the fun of watching Halloween is finding all the mistakes. Because it's like they're there and you don't realize it the first time you see it, but they're there.
What?
I can't read off the top of my head which one of them was. When they're walking down Haddonfield and there's palm trees in the background because they're in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be fall, and every single leaf that you see in the movie, the fallen leaves, it's one bag of leaves that they hand painted. So as soon as they're done with the scenes, they're like, "Everybody get the leaves!" So they're running around, the wind's blowing, they're trying to get all these leaves back because that's the only bag of leaves they had.
Oh, it reminds me. a bachelor party story. I had a thing with pine cones growing up because my parents would make me pick up pine cones, and my friends and Dave was in my bachelor group. They like hid pine cones everywhere, and every time I saw one, I had to take a drink. They put one in my car, in the glove compartment, as a prank. Not during the bachelor. I think it was at the end when we were all like going our separate ways again before the wedding, and because the wedding was a couple months later. And I found it a week later. And I'm like going to my glove compartment to get something. There's a pine cone, and I'm like, what? But they had taken a bag of pine cones from somewhere and brought it with them. I forgot if they like went around the house and did it.
I feel like that was Fesky.
No, it was my best friend Andy and just the group. They were all in it. But
did you know about what he did before he left the company?
What?
He was on a telecast. And he took a whole bunch of his that were his face.
Yeah.
And before he left, he went throughout the ride and he hid them. So you would just be.
I've heard that story.
You would do a track walk in the morning. You look and there's a telecast with Dave Fesky, and he signed them too. He signed them, and we instead of taking them, we just left them there. Just by like, hey, in the lunchbox in front of Ripley, you open the lunchbox. There's a telecast.
Oh my god. He would do that. Fesky, if you're listening, we're on to you, man.
Yeah.
But when you said the bag of leaves, it reminded me of that story. They had this bag of pine cones that they like purposed to hide them from me. So that was just funny. So the part where he comes out of the closet, I guess our gangster would be the Lori and this going to see someone up there, and like, oh, hold on, this dame's dead or something. Let me go check out what's going on, and then all of a sudden you just there he is.
Yep.
And of course, it would not be the first time we've talked about William Shatner, because everyone knows the fact that the Michael Myers mask is actually
the original,
William Shatner mask inside out and just white with hair put on it.
Yeah.
It's oh man, that is such a wonderful horror film. It's probably my number 2 actually. Alien being my first and Halloween would be my second. I didn't see it for the first time until maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, because like you, I don't really get into horror much. I was a scaredy cat when I was a kid.
That was the first horror movie I think I saw when I was like 12.
And you were 12?
Yes.
Oh man,
I braved it finally.
You did?
There's one horror movie that I will never watch in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't care how cheesy people say it is or it doesn't age well. I'm never gonna watch it and see Exorcist.
I can't do movies that deal with kids with supernatural. Or just kids in general.
Demon stuff, just can't. I can't.
Like, I
that might be the Catholic in me, but like...
With Insidious, I haven't watched it. Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Those I cannot... Or Children of the Damned, all those. I can't watch anything that involves kids and, like you said, demons or supernatural. I just... That's a nope. Big nope from me.
Yep.
So... what would be great too is our original tour guide actually is Michael Myers.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That takes it out. Ta-da! That would be great. I love a couple more on your list too. Silence of the Lambs. I just saw that for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Man, this past year was me making up for lost time. And Silence of the Lambs, I finally sit down. My wife wanted to see it with me. I think she had seen it before and I had, and I said that, and she was like, "What?" So we actually went through and we watched most of them. We didn't watch we watched Red Dragon.
That movie's great.
We did not watch the Hannibal Rising or whatever.
Did you see Mindhunter?
I know about it.
Manhunter, sorry.
Manhunter, with Brian Cox.
Yeah.
I know about it, and I haven't seen it yet. And I know I need to go back and watch that one, because I heard Brian Cox nailed the role before Anthony Hopkins took it for Silence of the Lambs.
Yep. That's Lecter is my favorite fictional character ever created.
Nice.
There's just something about him.
That would be a nice question for the thing too. Because mine would be Steve Zissou.
Okay, yeah. I remember
Life
you talking about that. Yeah.
I love Bill Murray's Steve Zissou so much, and he's my favorite character. And I love that Wes Anderson wrote Bill Murray that part, because no one else could be Steve Zissou the way Bill Murray, because he just doesn't give a crap about anything. But
that's how Bill Murray seems like in real life.
He is, and that's why. But at the same time, he doesn't give a crap. But it's him making the attempt too.
Yeah.
And of course the Buckaroo Banzai shot at the end where they're all walking on the dock, just like the end of Buckaroo Banzai. That's so good. I love that film. We need to go on though. This is one I haven't seen before. In the Name of the Father is your favorite drama.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So The Name of the Father is Daniel Day-Lewis, another Daniel Day-Lewis film.
Oh yeah.
It is about the true story of the Guildford Four. And they were Irish teenagers that were wrongfully accused of bombing a pub in Guildford, England. It was during the Troubles, is what they call it, the time when the IRA was having real high, the UK was having real high terrorist activity between the Irish and the UK. And he's wrongfully convicted. He's a petty thief at the beginning of the film, and he's stealing from people in Ireland, and the IRA threatens to kill him. So his dad sends him to England to live with his aunt to kind of get him out of trouble.
Well, his dad's Pete Postlewaite.
Pete Postlewaite, the great Pete Postlewaite.
I miss him so much.
The biggest robbery in the Academy Awards when he did not win. Because
was he nominated for
he was
that?
nominated for this film. His father sends him away to keep him out of trouble, and then he ends up getting into trouble. He lives with the hippie commune for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the way that the movie presents it is that one of the guys in the commune is jealous because the girl that he was with is now into him. And when the bombing happens, he goes to the authorities and say, hey, these guys were always talking, they're Irish, they're always doing this, they're always talking about all this stuff. And when the bombing was going on, Daniel Day-Lewis and his friend were sitting there talking to a homeless man on a bench in a park during the bombing, like 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
They get arrested. All the stuff that you know in those wrongfully convicted films, beating them. England just passed a law that they could hold terrorist suspects up to a week without charging them. And so they're getting to sign these false confessions. And because of that, they connect his father and his aunt that they all did this. So his dad gets convicted with them as well. And it's that whole story of now him and his dad are in jail together. They show in the film, and they're trying to get proven innocent. And there's a point where Daniel Lewis doesn't care. His dad's trying to do this, and then unfortunately, his father passes away, and he has to take up the fight.
Yeah.
And so there's a beautiful sequence in that film, which would be the drama section of the ride, would be when his dad dies. They're in the prison, and everybody in the prison loved his father. And one of this Jamaican prisoners says, they killed Giuseppe. Everybody, they killed him. Then they get these crumpled up pieces of paper, and they light it on fire, and they stick it out their windows. As a tribute, and they do the shot outside the prison, and you just see all these pieces of burning fire falling to the ground. And it's very, very heartwarming, touching.
Very emotional moment. Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I have I don't even know the score that would be going on, but I just have the vision that you gave me. I need to. Oh man, that sounds.
It's fantastic. It'll put you to the ringer though.
It will.
It's one of those films I watch at least once a year.
One of those Shawshank types.
Yeah.
Which I just saw Shawshank for the first time. My
fiance loves it, and she doesn't like watching movies over again, but we'll sit and watch this movie all the time. And every single time she's just like, this movie makes me so mad. But I'm happy at the same time at the end because they obviously those stories. But she's like, this movie just makes me so angry.
That sounds I need to watch that. I love Pete Postlewaite too, and the fact that I haven't seen that, I will be putting that on my watch list immediately. The other dramas that you have on your list too, I was reading through them. Glory, which I told you my dad was an extra in. Saving Private Ryan, the best World War II movie of all time.
Greatest opening sequence of a movie
at
ever.
Me, yes. I just got the upgrade on that for 4K.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for 1917 to come out because
Yeah.
I'm going to do World War I and then World War II because 1917, if you haven't seen it, the Oscars are just on last night. It won 3 Academy Awards.
Just 3.
Great film. We were all waiting for it to get Best Director and Best Film, but then Parasite just took it.
It took everything.
And that was a bombshell, and I am not mad whatsoever.
I have never been. My ballot never looked worse than last night, and I could not have been happier.
It was so balanced. It
Yes,
really
it
was.
was.
And of course, if you're listening to this, we're months, or at least a month or two since the Academy Awards. But at the time of recording this, it was literally last night. And but 1917, I've been telling people that it's the Saving Private Ryan of World War I movies.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen
I have
it,
not yet.
oh God,
I need to.
So and the 2 unknown characters. Well, one of them actually was in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And so he and other guy, they're like buddies. I forgot the Schofield, I think his name. they're chosen to go on this overnight, kind of almost like a suicide mission because they're going through the German front line that the British think is not occupied anymore. So they're tasked with going. I want to say it's probably about an 8 to 9 hour journey, or 8 to 9 mile journey. I can't remember that part. It's pretty much going to take them overnight to go to Acoust, France, to let the division over there know that, hey, hold off this attack. The Germans have been planning this for months.
Yeah.
And so you're just with these two along this trek to make it to this area, and you see the friendship between the two of them, and it's such a strong bond. But Schofield is so mad at first with his friend, because once they find out they're on this, this is gonna be hell.
Yeah.
Schofield's like, why did you choose me? and the other one says, I thought they just wanted us for food. I was laughing so much at. I understand his frustration. Like, I could die. Something almost happened. And he's like, why me? I wanted food.
This is one of those moments.
Why did you get hooked up for grub, man? and I didn't know we were going to this mission.
Yeah.
But it's my brother. I have to do this. And it's,
correct.
Oh my God, the movie, some very unexpected events happened. But then when I reviewed the trailers, it all made sense after watching it the first time. But I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And
I need to catch myself.
This Thomas Newman score
he's underrated.
Really just brings this emotion to what you're feeling through war and how tiresome it is. And you saw them. You saw how exhausted they were. At these moments of intensity, you could see the lack of sleep on these soldiers. And it was just such a brilliant film. And Sam Mendes, his grandfather was in World War One.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he dedicated it. It was actually written in, I think, stories based on what his grandfather told him growing up. He developed the script after he did the last 2 Bond films, and it was such a good film. We've gone on a little bit longer than I meant to on it, but I love that film. So I want to sit down and double feature 1917 and Saving Private Ryan, because in my opinion, I think they're, now that 1917's out, they're probably the top 2 war movies of all time.
That's awesome.
So highly recommend that if you haven't seen it. It's probably out on Blu-ray by now, the time where this is getting out to the public. I don't know. At the time of recording this, they don't even have a date for it. But we're gonna move through drama a little bit more. Glory, Saving Private Ryan. I haven't seen Kundun. I knew I was going to butcher that because I haven't seen it. And The Boxer, another one I haven't seen.
It's another Daniel Day-Lewis Irish film.
I've heard of it, and I've just never seen it.
Kundun is... I just got to get the story out because it's hilarious.
Okay.
It was referenced in an episode of The Sopranos.
Really?
So there's a scene in there where I think they're going to a club or something, and one of the gangsters off screen sees Martin Scorsese, and he's like, Marty, Kundun, loved it. Because you're thinking Goodfellas or Casino.
Yeah.
No, he says Kundun, one of the most movies that is in his repertoire that is fantastic. But you wouldn't think a gangster would be like, I loved Kundun, like that was great.
I didn't even think about it because I didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh,
it's
wow.
About the Dalai Lama, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, when I was here, I was talking with Tracy Fox recently, and she brought up Casino.
Yeah.
Or was it her or was it Gabe? I can't remember. I was talking with Gabe or Tracy, and the Casino was brought up, and that's one I haven't seen, and I forgot that was a Scorsese film too. But he's done these like
random.
You
would think
projects.
they're random because of what he did early in his career.
It's that one, and then he did that one with Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver. Silence. Yeah.
Yes.
I really want to watch that one. My wife's huge on Adam Driver. Really thinks he should have won Best Actor for Marriage Story last night. But I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, long time.
Any
coming.
other year.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I loved his performance in that, especially when they're having the big argument. I'm not sure if you saw Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Very heartbreaking film. We're gonna move into animated now. We've been going on for a while. And Beauty and the Beast is your favorite animated film.
Yes.
This isn't the first time Beauty and the Beast has been brought up. My friend Joe, first episode, favorite film of all time, Beauty and the Beast. So, getting a lot of love. I have not seen the live action one they've done. Have you?
Yes, I did. It's not bad.
What'd you think?
It's not terrible.
Not terrible.
It's good. It's in the vein, and I think it tried to do something on its own, and it did. And it didn't try too much to be the same movie.
Did Branagh did that one, or did he do Cinderella? I want to say he did
Branagh did Cinderella.
That's right. That's right. Who did?
And that's Beauty and the Beast isn't really in his ballpark. I don't think.
I mean, what's his name? Did Guy Ritchie did Aladdin?
Yeah, that blew my mind.
It was good. Oh, that's right. Bill Condon did Beauty and the Beast. No, I haven't seen the live action of that one, and the one I'm really excited for, Mulan.
Yes, that looks great. Incredible. Straight up story. It's a story. That's what I like about it.
And I'm okay with the, taking out Mushu or whatever his name was. Eddie Murphy, love him to death, but we're getting like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Mulan.
Yes, and I think it was Disney's kind of listening to what we were saying about stop doing these remakes. It's the same movie and over again. And Mulan's going to come out and say, "This ain't your grandma's Mulan." Like this is an actual.
I'm hoping for the best of it. The footage we've seen so far just looks so good.
Right.
And the fact that they didn't whitewash anything is great. Even the director, I think, is culturally appropriate too. So you got one, hopefully. What part of Beauty and the Beast would you put in the animated? I mean, you don't have to keep it to where there's just like it's on screen. You could even like recreate it with animatronics.
I would say the chandelier scene.
The chandelier. Oh yeah.
Kind of just that zoom in where they're dancing.
Yeah. You could like the whole wall just be
projection.
You're like following the shot.
Yeah.
That would be good. I love your second one, Shrek.
Yes.
I have a fond memory of Shrek. My graduation ceremony practice. Shrek 2 is coming out actually, and it came out that Friday before graduation. So me and my friends went to see Shrek 2 right before we graduated, or walked our graduation. So that was pretty funny. Tangled, I love. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is
such a good movie,
a good film, and I got to go to Disneyland for the first time. Our honeymoon last year.
Okay.
We went to Disneyland. It was my first time ever going there. And Toontown.
The ride is great, isn't it?
It's so good. It is such a good ride.
It's a little rough on my back, but I love it.
It kind of throws you around.
Yep.
It reminds me of the Grinch one. I think that's at Universal.
No, the Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat. That's the one. Yeah.
I was
like Grinch. Yeah. It's very similar to that. And of course, An American Tail. And Fievel Goes West.
Yeah.
I loved that movie growing up. And
that was one of Jimmy Stewart's last movies, I believe. That he did. He did the voice of the sheriff.
That's right.
In Fievel Goes West.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I think I had like a T-shirt of Fievel Goes West. Actually, I haven't seen it in so long. Man, that Beauty and the Beast shot would be such a good one to go into. So we're gonna go into comedy. I'm trying to go fast because we're a little over where we should be. But I mean, who cares? We're talking movies. We're having fun. It's a Mad, Mad World is your favorite comedy, and it's an action adventure comedy. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Spencer Tracy, Mickey Rooney. You got a lot of good people in this. Buddy Hackett,
Sid Caesar.
Oh man, it's a great cast, and I mean the story that I've heard about it sounds really. It sounds like Rat Race.
It's the Rat Race before a Rat Race.
Yeah, it's kind of like how The Graduate was the American Pie of the 70s or 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Would that be the spot? Because you're granted, Wizard of Oz wasn't a comedy, but I've mentioned earlier that the ride never really touched comedy. So I'm using this area to kind of touch that area. Would you feel that Mad Mad World has like that? I wouldn't call it a finale, but Wizard of Oz for the ride was very open.
Yeah,
and had this very big theme of involvement.
Yeah,
is there a part of that? Because I haven't seen it.
There's the very beginning of the movie. They're going after this guy. They're going after this amount of money that this guy stole years ago, and he buried it under a big W, which was palm trees that look like a W.
Got it.
And the beginning of the film is he's going there now. Like the statute of limitations is gone. He's going to go get the money. He ends up speeding on this on these switchbacks in the desert, and he flies off. Car flies off the cliff. And this is where all our main characters all see it, and they go down there to help him. And he's out. He's been thrown out of the car. His body's broken. You know, no blood or anything. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
But they go up there, and that's where I would think is like it's just desert, and you just see this group of people surrounding this guy on the ground. And Sid Caesar walks up to him, and he's like, "I'm not a doctor, but I'm a dentist. Are you hurt badly?" and the guy looks at him, and he looks at everybody else. He's like, "Is he kidding?" And the last thing he does is he says, "Tell Aunt May it didn't matter. It didn't matter." And he dies. And everybody's just like, "Oh, this is sad." Start taking his hat off. And then he jumps up again and starts talking to everybody. And then,
one of those.
And then he dies again. And this time, for a visual reference, he literally kicks a bucket. and Jonathan Winters just stands up and he looks at it and he's like, "That man is dead. You better believe it."
It sounds like something to where our tour guide should actually be the one that says, "I'm not a doctor, but I'm a tour guide."
Yeah. Are you hurt?
Are you hurt badly? Oh man, that sounds very Mel Brooks.
Oh, there's so many people in it. There's cameos by the Three Stooges have a cameo in it.
Yes.
Jerry Lewis has a cameo in it.
Oh.
It's literally just a movie about comedy.
This movie.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
I need to sit down and watch that one. And it's funny because everyone else's list that we've done for Around the Track, their first comedy, it was, you know, a great comedy, but it wasn't one that was very like interactive with that wide. So the fact that you got one, I'm like, yes, awesome. But I gotta say, your list for comedy is wonderful. Duck Soup, Ghostbusters, The Blues Brothers. Again, this one's a frequent one. And then While You Were Sleeping, I haven't seen that one.
Love that movie. I'm a big rom-com guy. I do like romantic comedies.
There's nothing wrong with it.
And Sandra Bullock is my celebrity crush. She always has been. So.
There you go. Just that might be why you like Gravity as much as you
Probably that too. Yeah.
Sandra Bullock in space. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and like I said, we went a little bit longer than we meant to, but that's what the art of editing is for. So maybe I'll pull it down, or maybe we'll just have it an extended cut. I don't care. We'll just leave it unedited. MTV Unplugged.
Right.
But I have to say thanks for coming, and oh man, that was fun. I have to say my favorite one. It's a hard tie between having the Magnificent Seven showdown with the car, with the vehicle, and the tour guide being Michael Myers. That's the obvious. And just, oh man, how fun would it be? I could just imagine being in what would be the Anubis robes for us. Being in this Michael Myers suit that just comes off easily. You just horrible mask, like not a good one, just a really bad Michael Myers.
But the lighting will make it work.
Well, all you need is just enough to come out and see half. Yep. So there's got to be like the training of like the visual point of just leaning out enough and not too much like here's Johnny. You know, it's man that would have been fun. I would have loved that with the plastic knife and everything. Good times. Well, thanks for listening to the Great Movie Radio Show. JuanCarlos, oh man, it's been such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
We're going to do another episode with you. We're going to talk directors, films you haven't seen, some new questions, favorite guilty pleasure film. We're adding some new content where we can, just to add more discussions and, more topics.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening to the show. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor. We're everywhere that we can be, if we can be. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
The Great Movie Radio Show is recorded in Orlando, Florida. You can visit our website at www.thegmrshow.com. Art direction and logo design provided by Mr. Bayless. Voiceover and intro work provided by Dave Fesky and Joe Erickson. You can find our podcast on multiple platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search The Great Movie Radio Show or The GMR Show. This has been The Great Movie Radio Show. We hope you enjoy your day, and we'll see you at the movies, the stuff dreams are made of. Goodbye, everyone.
You have been listening to a GMR Radio production.